Hello, and thank you for coming. I would like to introduce myself. My name is Brianne Marr, and today I will be talking about the winter use of snowmobiles at Yellowstone National Park. Have any of you visited Yellowstone National Park? Wow, that's quite a few hands. Well, I have some very interesting facts to share with you that that might make you think differently about winter visitation of the park. Yellowstone National Park provides year-round recreational activities. However, not everyone has access to the winter beauty Yellowstone offers. In 1932, visitors first requested the park to plow the snow-covered roads. The National Park Service opposed this request due to weather conditions and narrow roads. In 1963, the first snowmobile tourists visited the park. Not long after, snowmobiling became the most popular way to explore the park in the winter. By the late 1990s, the use of snowmobiles in the winter was averaging nearly 800 vehicles a day. Imagine 800 vehicles. That's pretty impressive. Now imagine those 800 machines zooming past and frightening wildlife of the park, polluting the air and the ground with their toxic emissions. The loud roar of snowmobile engines taking away the solitude and serene beauty of the national park. Snowmobile makes it very convenient to discover the beauty of Yellowstone National Park, but at a cost. These machines have damaging effects. Yellowstone has to deal with air quality issues, noise pollution, and wildlife harassment due to the use of snowmobiles. Snowmobiling has become a dilemma in a number of national parks, national forests, and public lands in the United States because of the adverse impacts on air quality, noise pollution, and harassment of wildlife. The most widely known problem resides in Yellowstone National Park. Other national parks that have been on debate are Denali, Grand Teton, Voyager, Rocky Mountain National Parks. On April 26, 2000, the National Park Service was directed by the Department of Interior to look into the use of snowmobiles in their parks and decide whether this is consistent with the current regulations. One of the regulations prohibits recreational snowmobile use, except on designated routes and water surfaces that are used by other vehicles during other seasons. The regulation also prohibits the use of snowmobile unless the use is consistent with the park's values, safety considerations, management objectives, and the preservation of wildlife and natural resources. There were executive orders to be followed by the National Park Services. One order established procedures to ensure that agencies control off-road vehicles to public lands, protect resources, promote safety of visitors, and minimize conflicts among all visitors of the park. The agencies are required to designate areas and trails, especially for snowmobiles, without damaging soil, watersheds, vegetation, and harassing wildlife. The executive order also states that the use of areas and trails are to be determined and monitored by the park's director to ensure the park is being protected. Another executive order requires the director of the park to immediately close an area that exhibits negative effects on soil, vegetation, and wildlife from recreation off-road vehicles. Further, the National Park Service must comply with the Organic Act and National Park Management policies. The Organic Act of 1916 put the National Park Service in charge of promoting and regulating the use of national parks and federal lands and means of the park's purpose. 1. To conserve the scenery, natural, and historic objects. 2, as well as provide enjoyment for visitors without harm to the park's resources for future generations to enjoy. The National Park Service also manages recreation activities. They provide enjoyment for the public, ensure safety, and minimize conflicts with all the park visitors. If the visitors of the park are causing harmful impacts on the environment and wildlife, the National Park Service is allowed to restore natural function of the land and wildlife by closing that area off from the harmful activity.